We'll open the meeting, Town of Scituate Board of Health meeting, Selectmen's Hearing Room, Monday, June 17, 2013. Take a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, meeting's open. Agenda's accepted. We'll wait a couple of minutes for 7:10. You guys here with 6 Cliff Road?
Yes, but Bob Crawford's not here yet.
He's not, he's coming though?
Yes.
Oh, good, okay, all right, thank you. All right. We'll wait till then. Anything to fill in? Jennifer, updates?
I'm calling a meeting for hoarding task force tomorrow. We're gonna have fire, police, council on aging, visiting nurses, somebody else, I forget who. And we're gonna try and come up with some policies. I have.
Excuse me, guys. Guys. If you guys want to talk, you can go out in the hallway. It's tough to hear in a room like this. It gets going, so, yeah.
Move up, I can't hear it all.
All right, sure, thank you.
So I have some tools, some questionnaires, some scales that we can go over and make, make our own adjustments to or accept as they are. But they're used by Mass Housing. Some of them come from a couple of professors from BU who are experts in the hoarding issue. And we're going to try and be eyes and ears and share information and share things at work. Brian and I were, Chief Stewart, were working on this together, and he's supposedly getting some police policies together. Tricia is going to be hiring a full-time social worker for Council on Aging, and part of their responsibilities will be dedicated towards our hoarding cases, so we have more help for the people that need it. For her hiring, well, the task force is going to meet tomorrow, decide what policies we need, what resources we have, and try and nail that down, and then ID how we want to have training done. Brian Stewart said we could probably update some of the stuff on each patrolman's computer in the car, so that rides with him. And I'm sure Rick Judd wouldn't object if we had a folder in each truck. And then, of course, the deputy has a car, Rick has a car. Some of the captains have cars, they could stay, that resource can stay in that vehicle. And then maybe, the Mass Housing Group does do periodic training on hoarding, and there may be sometimes we want to send some of the people for that. But I'm probably juggling at least 5 cases right now in various stages of trying to get things done. We have to decide what action each individual, it's multidisciplinary, or can be, so we have to decide how that's going to work, and we also have to decide excuse me, at what point action comes before the board or action goes to court, and whether we want to have town council go in and do a temporary restraining order, or we want to go criminal. Housing code violations are criminal. Not my call, the state figured that out.
Right. Well, if it gets that far, we hope it never does.
But yeah, so, Scituate Housing Authority is the other one that's invited, and they have a group that they use. It's called tenancy preservation. So I'm looking to see what kind of, if that's amenable to the kind of cases we have, and if they can provide services to the cases we have. you know, the more help, the better. So, you know, it's difficult. It's a no-win situation, and we're just trying to make it better.
Yeah, well. So that'll be tomorrow.
Well, no, tomorrow afternoon.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Profit show, here he is. Perfect. Bob, come on up. Right on time. We'll roll right into 7:10 PM, public hearing, Title V variance request, 6 Cliff Road.
Thanks.
No trees down the road.
Not yet.
Big puddles.
Yeah, I was coming over the 3A bridge there, and there was some pretty good lightning.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is Michael Viviano, who's representing the owner, Tom. Anyway,
Ermolovich.
Romanovich, yeah. Anyway, this is a lot in the ocean side of Cliff Road, with a successful that was pretty severe damage in the February storm, and we're asking permission to replace the pit with, there is I shouldn't say it's accessible, it's a seat pit. There is an existing tank as well, 1,000-gallon tank, and we're asking to replace the pit with 4 rows of leaching chambers, plastic variety. In addition, it's probably necessary to relocate the water main. And all this is in VE zone elevation 13.
There's some elevation to this house, and being in a V zone, their question comes up about elevating a tank. I did clear this with DEP. I talked to Brett Rowe, and we're looking at this as a component repair. We're not replacing the tank, we're replacing the leaching area. And there really isn't much room available even if you wanted to go up. So he's good with that.
Yeah.
That water line out there too, check, I think, for Cliff Road this time, you might be able to, might already been moved, sorry about that.
Well, according to the plan for the lot next door, they relocated it around the system
Right.
from the street,
Yeah.
but they show it coming back onto this.
Oh, I gotcha.
Anyway, in connection with it, we have to request 3 variances, setback variances from the 10 feet required for soil absorption systems and 5 feet on the south side, and reduction of 10-foot minimum setback on the water service to 4 feet. We are planning to sleeve the service where it is within 10 feet of the leaching area. We're asking for a variance from 5-foot minimum requirement down to 2 feet 4 inches to the maximum height groundwater elevation as determined by applying the correction to an 11-foot tide on the date that we did the test. Now, the date that we did the test, there had been 3 days of severe onshore winds with good surf, and I think the water table was distorted to the normal 11-foot tide. I did some investigation of several systems along this area, and the average was, it ranged from about 3.3 feet, elevation 3.3 up to 4.3. So if you take the average, 3.7, that's those adjusted water tables, then we're really 4 feet 9 inches above the high ground. And the third variance is paragraph 50.255, construction and fill, we're asking for relief from 5 feet to 3 feet, the removal of unsuitable material on the street side. There really isn't any unsuitable material because it's all cobbles and sand, so just in case we did find something loam or something, require removal, we're asking for relief from 5 feet to 3 feet. So I can answer the questions that we have.
We usually don't get asked to reduce that last one. About the removal.
No, it's rare, but it happens when we're shoehorning, which is this. We've had them before, but it's not the usual case. And that one needs to go, that's one of the reasons it needs to go down to DEP too.
Basically, the reason why we're asking for the variance is because in order to provide for his parking in the front of his house here, we need to put it, we can't meet the slope requirements without putting a breakout area. Because the fill would extend all the way out to the street line in order to satisfy the breakout requirements once we put the variance. So basically, that's the imperviousness that we are going to have. We're going to have that membrane in here to be able to bring the slope in to provide people some parking.
Yeah, I don't really have any questions or comments either. No, the only thing I wish you luck with it, I mean, it gets approved because it's a, well, you know, as well as I do, it's a wash-through zone, so there's no guarantee with them, you know. Mr. Crawford's done the best he can, so. Yeah, but what we've done in the past, I think, is that this plan is good and we allow this plan, so if you have to rebuild it, then you have a, you know, if it gets approved tonight, then you have an approved plan for the future.
Right.
That saves you this meeting and more engineering fees and other stuff, you have the plan, so hold on to it, we'll have the file with the motion.
It's, remember, you have to just approve it pending DEP approval.
Any others? Oh, do you have any comment or anything?
I just wanted to learn about the process.
Oh, there you go, which number?
Number 8, Cliff.
Oh, number 8 next door, okay, all right.
What, can I get your name?
Ruth Lenahan.
Thank you.
Did you want to come out and see the plan or anything? Do you have any question or comment or anything?
Is it the same one I have here?
I can't answer that, but I'm sure it is if Mr. Crawford sent it to you.
This is what Mr. Crawford sent to me.
Yeah, that's a plan section of the
Yeah.
consent, yes.
It's very difficult to fathom. My only question is, and I'm looking for future, in case
Mhm.
we have no intention of selling, you know what I'm saying? But in case we have to sell at some time, would we have to go through the same process?
You'd have to get a Title V inspection, and if it failed, then yes, you would go through the same process.
But I know we did the inspection that you required a couple of years ago, and we passed that with flying colors.
I'm not
That was
sure.
after a storm, right?
After
Yeah.
the.
That's not
years ago.
a full
That's
time.
not full Title V.
Yeah, after
no.
a few of the storms, we looked at areas that might have been damaged, and we went for a very loose inspection to make sure that pipes weren't broken or components were washed out, but it was not, and that was our intention, not to look
For any.
for an old
deep-
system. That's right, if it was old, it was old and existing, and if it worked, it was worked. We weren't trying to,
My
Stir the pot.
understanding, our
Yeah.
system was put in after the blizzard of '78.
yeah.
Well-
So if you saw, you're gonna have, the state requires you to have an inspection.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a new, there's a new, in '78, they got a new Title V code, and now in '95, they got another new Title V. That's when the Title V inspection process began. And there's a lot of things that changed. So was okay in 78 isn't necessarily okay now, but it doesn't necessarily mean you'll fail either.
I understand. But I'm concerned about the location of the water pipe. Maybe I'll find out when Mike Bibiano digs for Mr. Amalovich. But perhaps ours might be in the same place.
Probably
It has
is,
to be
though.
moved? Well, I'm learning the process.
The
That's all
whole,
I'm
the whole
here for.
street, I think, you might tell me the history, the government put that in when they did the Fort Cliff Air Force Base, and they put it way in on the properties. So it's
As
been a-
opposed to the street.
Yeah, it's been an ongoing issue.
The road used to be in there.
That's where the road was at one time.
So they sold the road?
But
They sold the road?
I don't know what they did.
Yeah, really.
When did the fourth cliff, when was that put in
Prior to
by the government?
by the government, just before the war.
Before
Yeah,
World
right.
War II?
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
probably late thirties, early forties, late thirties
Yeah.
probably. Yeah.
Because I know our house was built in 1948. Okay, thank you, but I don't mean to disrupt the,
No?
No, glad you,
just
that's
information.
why we have
That's all.
public hearings.
Thank
Love
you.
to have the public come in and speak, so, thank you. Anyone else? Everybody's good? We had a motion on the table, second. All those in favor? Aye. Thanks, Ed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, folks.
Could you send in Rick Grady, please?
This is the front information, did you all sign that one? Come around there.
I don't know yet.
Thank you all.
Thanks. See you right. All right, we're cooking.
Ready for us?
I think so.
All but the little one.
You're out of here.
He's presenting tonight.
He is, oh good, I'm ready.
Let's take a good weapon here. Let's move some chairs up. Good evening, everyone.
7:20 PM, public hearing, 7 Marshfield Ave, septic system.
Continued.
Continue.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, great, excellent. Can you sit here, bud? Good evening, everyone. My name is Adam Brodsky, and I represent the applicant and Hummerock Seafood LLC. I'm here with Rick Grady, as well as Cameron Grady, who's our special assistant this evening.
Thanks for coming, Cameron.
You will recall that on June 3rd, 2013, the board voted to grant us a disposal system construction permit conditioned upon an application for local upgrade approval. We proposed using 3 existing precast concrete tanks located within the property and slab foundation setbacks. Because we're located within the setback, we require local upgrade approval under Title V. As you well know, the board must consider the impact of the proposed system and determine whether the upgrade varies to the least degree necessary to the requirements of Title V. We suggest that the reuse of the existing tanks will result in the best feasible upgrade within the borders of the lot. The tanks comply with the construction requirements of Title V. The upgrade varies the setback requirements to the least degree necessary, and the upgrade will result in an improvement in public health, safety, welfare, and the environment. And we're respectfully suggesting that we've achieved maximum feasible compliance with this project and are entitled to a local upgrade approval. You do okay? Okay.
What do you think, Cameron?
What's that?
Is that what do you leave off last name?
The request for the local upgrades.
We do have the abutter notification received here, coming out on June 4th.
We haven't got the green card yet.
We have not yet, no.
Was it just one butter or?
It was just the affected abutter, which is set back to the River Realty Trust along the property line here. All of the setbacks meet the required setbacks, so there were no other affected abutters. Three existing tanks, we use 3 tanks here.
Yeah, we pretty much went over this 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw it out, is there anybody in the audience in regards to number 7 Marshfield Ave? See anybody, nobody's forward.
You okay with it?
What you agreed to last time, pretty much.
Move to approve the 4 local upgrade approval requests set forth in the plan for 7 Marshfield Avenue, which is dated, what is it? Last day, June 5th, 2013. Planned by grading consultant.
All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're all done, buddy.
You did good, Cameron. Come again.
He's a little disappointed about it. I think he thought it was gonna be longer.
Okay, now you be careful. You protect him. You're taking him out in the thunder and lightning now.
Thank you.
Good night.
Yeah, yeah.
Good to see you.
Thanks, Tim. We got about a minute and a half here on the clock, so we'll just, we'll hold tight till 7:30.
We caught up.
You look out the window, get a big plane right back there. Yeah.
Don't worry, we're on generator. That's what they told me at the shelter, and then they forgot to tell me the heat wasn't connected. Fortunately, we're in warmer weather now.
Start feeling the hair go up on your arms and stuff.
Yeah.
He's that tingling feeling.
Either that or a Portuguese man of war.
We've had that much on Scituate before, freak wind, late summer.
It's happened, not very often, but they're nasty. We'll be starting testing on the beaches next week. The Recreation Department is still dealing with a shortage of lifeguards, and it's likely Sand Hills will not be covered by the lifeguards for the season.
Oh, they're still short, oh, that's too bad.
They're hoping they get enough out of some recent applicants that they may be able to cover the rest full-time.
If we get stuck with testing, let me know, we can make arrangements to get the little balls, whatever, I'd jump in the water.
That's good, because it's not my favorite thing.
Well, you know.
Especially when I'm going near some rocks. These knees can't take it much anymore.
Early in the season stuff, the water's cold, and usually by the end of the season.
Yeah, but after
it gets
you've
a
gone
little
in you've gone in the first 2 times, it's the last 3, yeah, piece of cake. You're gonna be cold, you're gonna be cold, that's it.
Don't hesitate to call anyways. 7:30 p.m. Condemnation hearing continued, 12 Whortleberry Lane.
Okay, Vicky's had a couple of eye operations, this is why she missed the last meeting. Mike Hayes and I visited last Monday, and she had moved some stuff out that was waiting to be picked up by someone she had contacted, and she'd had a woman in helping her with some things, and she moved a lot of boxes that were empty, so that the piles had gotten somewhat smaller. Overall, the path to the doorway had not improved. Basically, it was a path through the breezeway, although that pile went down somewhat from the boxes going away, and basically her kitchen and bathroom are clear. They need there's some cleaning and replacement that needs to be done, linoleum or whatever, but that's about it. She did leave a message last week that she was getting a dumpster and her niece was coming from New York to help her for the weekend. And I know she does have the dumpster there now, but there's not very much in it. So,
Did your niece make it down for the weekend?
Pardon me?
Did your niece make it down for the weekend?
Yes, she did.
Oh, good.
They're coming down, I think Wednesday for 3 or 4 days. 3 or 4 of them, maybe more, are coming. We have the dumpster. We've done everything that we've been asked to do. I'm not supposed to bend my heart, but I get down on my knees and do some packing, and I have taken quite a few boxes out of there. There's no boxes around in the kitchen, and we'll be working on the living room and other places. I'm planning on giving some of my books to several agencies, and that I think will I have a good library upstairs with Time Life, maybe 3 or 4 full series, and I'm going to offer them to some places for the tax exemption. And we're doing as fast as we can. I've gotten some equipment that's going to make it easier for me to do the yard, because I like doing the yard. And this thing will do a football field before you have to recharge it. It only weighs 6 pounds.
Oh, good.
So I haven't used it yet, because I'm not going to use it until I get the okay from my physician, which will be in another 2 weeks.
She spent some time cleaning the front windows and putting up some drapes.
Could you please speak louder?
You spent some time cleaning the front windows and putting up drapes. I'm just trying to give,
I always clean the windows and put drapes up.
well, no, really, because that's how sometimes I could tell you we're collecting again.
Well, that's because there were some things that cats were doing.
So do we have some forward progress here that we check back in 2 weeks, or?
Well, yes, there's some progress. I think it's very encouraging that she's finally gotten a dumpster and that her family's coming down to help. How much will get done, I have no idea. She has to realize there's got to be, you know,
Has the family contacted the Board of Health office at all?
Excuse me, the
Yeah.
family is not going to do all of this. I'm trying to get some estimates from a couple of people, because the person I got an estimate from was much, much too high.
Okay.
So
That's fair, good shop
I
around.
got screwed on getting the wood out, which we cut ourselves. The town should have been down there taking the tree down, but they didn't come. And my nephew came in and he took all the trees down, and it cost me $400 for 2 guys to take his work out. And so that's the thing I'm facing right now, because I'm alone. So it'll be different when David's here.
Okay, and David's your nephew?
He's my niece's husband.
Oh, okay, all right.
And
Do you think it would be good if they contacted the Board of Health office? Have you ever met him before?
Yes, a
Yeah,
couple
yeah.
times.
I
But,
think a little communication there might,
well, I gave her my card and
Yeah.
urged her to call, but she didn't.
yeah.
She doesn't want me to speak. Do you want me to speak up at all, Vicki?
if you have something that you can help me with.
I mean, I'm a protective service advocate for social elder services and.
Sure, could you state your name? for the
Yeah,
record?
Andrea Bissett, protective service advocate for social elder services. And if Vicki's agreeable, this is the first time we've met, we just got involved.
Oh, sure. You
Um,
guys meet up in the hallway before?
No, it isn't the first time you've been
Well,
involved.
not the first time altogether, but this time around. A new report came in, she,
I'm afraid I didn't really understand some of the stuff before.
if she's agreeable, our agency can help put in some supportive services if she's agreeable to working with us.
No, is that a no cost or a low cost?
Well, our co-pays are based on, her monthly income.
Gotcha, okay.
But we've also found donations for assistance with like personal organizers in the past.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
All right, are you agreeable to that?
Okay,
Are you agreeable to the help?
I'm doing everything I can do to get this off my back.
Yep.
And I am paying the people that come to help me as much as I can.
Yep, no question there, and you agreeable to the help that's being offered here?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good.
That's a step forward, that's all, that's.
I just
yeah.
don't think they should throw everything out with, that's not important to me.
Well, that's part of the problem. You can't just move the
And I
stuff
don't care
around.
about the paper stuff. I mean, what I was worried about is some papers that I had that were saved to write a book, and there were names in those papers. And I was afraid they were gonna get out. So I found those the other day.
Oh, good, all right.
And so that's taken care of now. That's
I
right.
mean, Vicky has a pod in the driveway as well, and I just learned the last time I visited that she also has a storage area in Weymouth, I believe. And Mike Hayes suggested while I was there that, you know, one thing that might work for her is if she got the garage cleared out, then she could save stuff that she wanted to keep in the garage.
There's not a lot of stuff I wanna keep. I don't know where you're getting this idea that that's what's going on, because it's not. I don't have any great furniture. There's 2 old computers in there. I don't care about that. I don't have that much furniture down there. I was too busy working.
Well, either way, we've got to get stuff cleared up.
Yeah,
I
well,
think
the
that's
stuff
the
that's in
point.
the back is going,
Yeah.
but I can't get everything done at once. And
No, that's understandable, I'm just glad you were
Since
getting
February, I've had
some
3
forward progress.
surgeries,
Yeah.
and I'm doing this on my own.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's good that we've got some help offered here and
And
some
I'm
support there, and you've got
following
family
through,
that's
so
coming in.
what more can I
and That's
do?
great news to me, as one single board member here, I'd love to hear that, because we don't want to be involved in your
Well,
business.
you know, I never get any
Yeah.
encouragement, ever. Not even questions except recently about my eyes.
Yes.
And they are gonna be good. There's still swelling in them, but they're gonna,
They're gonna
I'm
come
not
back.
gonna
Well, that's
need
good
any
news.
bifocals anymore, which is very, very nice. And I didn't expect to tear a ligament in my shoulder lifting boxes.
So what do you think, continuing on? What do you think?
Well, I would,
I mean,
I
do you wanna look in 2 weeks and instead of, unless something really drastic turns for the worse, we could just get a report in 2 weeks? I mean, is that one way to address it?
I get, you've dealt with situations like this before,
Mhm.
and how have you seen them play out?
Well, I mean, whenever I work with Board of Health and other cities and towns, you know, as long as the consumer or the residents working with protective services and accepting help and making progress, then, you know, further re-inspections can be done, but obviously we don't wanna see Vicky become homeless, and we'd like to help her, you know, with the situation. If she agrees to the referral for home care services, it will take time to process.
And that's a written contract?
What's that?
She has a contract, she'll sign a contract with you?
She doesn't sign a contract, I mean, I'll have to speak to her about consent to who I can speak to, what you guys will be on the list that I'll request, and, you know, I'll ask her if she's agreeable to making a referral for a professional organizer that deals with people with collecting and hoarding issues, because there is obviously a sensitivity to it as well, and, you know, it's an emotional process, so it's better to have a professional organizer or somebody that's been trained in this background work with
And I
her.
think it's great, I'm just a little confused on the commitment levels, it's a verbal, agreeable, in a verbal sense?
Well, as far as the services?
Yeah.
I mean, who I can talk to as part of my job is written, I have her sign consent forms, and then the referral, you know, she does sign a contract to accept services, yes, from home care.
That was me.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, all right, so, it's not the level, if, on that she should be agreeable.
I think she already has, yeah, you've already agreed, right here in front of us, so.
Pardon me?
I said you've already agreed to accept help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I, you know, everybody thinks I'm disorganized, I am not.
I never remember.
I am what I call organized disorganized.
There you go, fair enough, fair enough.
I know where I can find
We just
things.
want you safe and healthy, that's all, that's our
The
concern.
trouble is when I was sick, I couldn't get, so I ended up getting too much red, because I grew up, you know, in the depression.
Gotcha. Well, we want to continue this on and we'll get an update in 2 weeks, and if something, like I was gonna say, if there's something drastic,
Yeah.
then we gotta revisit this. If not,
Yeah.
we see forward progress, then we'll let you handle it, I guess.
We'll see progress.
Okay,
Is there anything else, is there anybody else here?
yeah, I would, you know, I would like it continued, and then I can either make, with Vicky's approval, I can make either make a report and then she doesn't have to appear.
Yeah, that's kind of, yeah.
And
Oh, I want to appear, and, you know,
Well, that's
also,
fine, yeah.
also, the big story about, the fact that the real estate told this family that it was my fault that they couldn't probably sell a house. But you know what?
Yeah.
The people were out of town, and 2 days before they came back, those signs were removed, and I didn't know that, and
All
I
right,
walked.
I don't know where you're going with that, but it's off track anyway, so
Well, it
let's,
is off track, because it's just a lie, it's a typical lie.
yeah,
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What do you mean by a drastic change? If something drastically happened, what do you mean by that?
like all of a sudden the boxes start reappearing and the,
Oh,
it gets
okay.
worse and.
Okay.
piles of
If it
stuff.
gets worse?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, right now, I think there's forward progress from
Right,
here, and that's
okay.
what we're looking for, I think, as one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as a Board of Health, and Vicki knows this because we went through this the first time when, and she did do it, is I really want access to the exits as the
Right.
primary, because
Yeah.
if we have to get emergency help in there,
And that's
they gotta
what-
be able to move.
Yeah, and that's what we do, address
Well,
this,
we'll
protect the
take care
service
of your
advocates,
great
and clear
expectations.
pathways and, you know, reduce risk of falls and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, first, you know, let's have access so we can get the emergency help in if it's needed.
Right.
And then we want to, you know, if there's any great accumulation that's going to be posing a fire hazard, because there has been a fire there before, we want that addressed.
Okay.
I mean, I don't expect her to get rid of everything, and I'm not requesting she get rid of everything. That's why I thought that if there was room in the garage and there was some stuff that she wanted to save, rather than paying for a pod or a storage area, she could use her garage.
The garage has some tools in there and has some books, that's all.
So do we need to, which is,
I'll make a motion. Yeah, move to continue the condemnation hearing for 12 Woolbury Lane to the next hearing in front of the Board of Health, which I believe is July 1st.
I didn't hear a word of that.
We're moving to continue this till the 2 weeks to the next hearing, July 1st. Okay?
Okay.
is there a second on it? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much for coming in here, and thank you especially for that.
Do you have a card?
You know what, I had a, meeting today all day for work, and I came from my last.
All right, can you just, then can you email me? You can
Here,
go on
do
our,
you- if you-
our website.
Yeah, I can write down my name.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is it possible for me to get copies of the secretary's notes?
Minutes?
I can get them to you.
Okay.
I'll put them in the mail for
Thank
you.
you, I appreciate that.
Okay.
So I know where I am.
Thank you. All right, we'll continue right on. Water fluoridation, continued discussion and possible vote.
Well, we had a representative from, via the state and one of the professional organizations and a nonprofit organization here last time who gave us a lot of information, and then Sherry gave us some more information. And all of you got packets on it. So, you know, it's open for discussion or vote or whatever it is you want to do. I mean, I put possible votes so, you know, people would know that that possibility exists. I'm not sure if you're ready for that or not. I mean, you had a lot of information to go through. And there's still, if you do want to do a vote, you can, it doesn't have to be all or nothing either. I mean, there is still an acceptable range that is listed for treating the water, and if you wanted to vary that some way, you could do that as well.
Who sets the acceptable range right now for the town of Scituate?
DPW is following the state.
Following the state requirement.
Yeah. But the state has a range, and so does EPA.
I'd imagine that range, though, they must shoot for the middle. And if they're a little light, it's a little light, if it's a little heavy.
No, they're shooting for 1.
Yeah.
And that way.
There's a little room for error, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's the top number is like 1.2. And you know, I called that on Jimmy once because they do the annual water report now, and it came out. I knew he said, no, we have it set at 1, and I read the annual water report and it said 1.1, and I said, okay, is it 1.1 or is it 1? And he said, we shoot for 1, but the actual readings, because of the infrequency of water flow and it's the mixing and all that, came out that particular year 1.1. So I believe the range is 0.6 to 1.2.
Can I have a comment, is it appropriate?
Yeah, hold on a minute, I'm just thinking through, I guess we'll do a little public comment and then we'll see how the board feels, but I don't want to get too deep into it because we've already really been into it, so please, name and...
Oh, Mary Ann Miller, 7 Pennycrest in Scituate, and I'm new to Scituate, but I teach public health over at Stonehill, and I did an awful lot of work in oral health. I'm not a dentist. But these issues on water fluoridation come up constantly, and it's always very important that you listen to the professionals. It's one of the best public health successes going back to New York. I think it was Newburgh, New York, water fluoridation with dental caries. But there's always some folks that come in that, and if it's a dental professional or someone that has that expertise, it's worth listening to. If not, you need to bear that in mind. 1.1 is, for all intents and purposes, 1. And again, I'm not a dental professional. But it is so important to keep the water fluoridated and to always have someone come in to talk to the town if there are any issues that has dental expertise, and again, expertise in this realm. And I was interested because someone told me there were some issues back and forth, and I do remember many of these debates. I ran one of many programs for the state of Rhode Island and the health department. One was the oral health program, and I do remember many of these fluoridation debates coming up in the public eye. And some of the debates were not based on science. So 1.1 sounds, again, and I'm only going to say I'm not a dental professional, sounds for all intents and purposes 1. And then if there's some issues about it, having a dental professional certainly come in, talk to the board, and you record all of that would be appropriate. That's all.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, well, we
Thanks for
actually
getting
did
involved in
that.
the,
This is Dr. Parsons. He was one of our first
I rented the
proponents.
house for my house. I love dentists.
Well, thank you. I'll, if anybody else wants to speak quick, we'll...
Well, I've spoken at length, and I don't have much more to add, other
Could
than,
you just,
you know.
for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry. Dr. Bradley Parsons, I practice in Scituate, I live in Norwell. So, your predecessors 50 years ago based their decision on science. Your decision today needs to be based on science, not anecdotes about, you know, even my anecdotes about how it has affected my patients. It has to be based on science. And there's good science and there's bad science. And I think it's clear that there is no good science to suggest, to link fluoride any ill health effects. It just isn't. And if there was, you'd know about it, because the FDA would tell you about it. And it would be splashed all over the headlines, because there are more than 100 million people who have fluoride, who have fluoridated water. So that's my basic thesis.
Could I clarify what you just said for a second, just to make it clearer? As someone who specializes in dealing with hazards and toxic substances, almost any substance can be a hazard in too great of a quantity. And so I take it you agree with me, fluoride is also one of those substances that in too great of a degree, if a person is exposed to it, they're going to get sick.
Correct.
Okay. So the question in all of these instances really is, what's the dose, and is the dose harmful or is it hurtful? And so I don't know if we want to segue into discussion where the board is coming, but since my days on this board are numbered, I'll just say that my view of it is that I agree with you. The science, I think, is pretty clear that at the very, very, very low doses that we're talking about, 1 part per million, there is no adverse health effect, and in fact that there is a beneficial effect, probably mostly related to children, to a certain extent, maybe some adults as well who don't get fluoride or don't take care of their teeth as well as some other people, probably mostly the poor people, as we discussed it at the last public hearing. I don't think the board, and I certainly am not equipped to make a determination as to whether it should be 0.9 or 1 or 1.1. I think at those levels, the difference is probably medically insignificant. And so I would follow the recommendations of the state. I'm very comfortable with that. And so I guess to answer the point that Jennifer was suggesting, we might, we don't have to just necessarily not do anything. I'm not inclined either to say we should have a lower standard of Scituate than the standard that's being recommended by the state. I do think that it has been very helpful to revisit this issue after 50 years. There is, I recognize, I've read a lot of the material here. There are people, some scientists out there on the other side who think that there is an issue. There are others who think that this should be a matter of individual choice rather than the government making the decision. And I can see those arguments. I think in this particular instance, the health benefit outweighs all of them. So I'm inclined to, at least from my point of view, to say we should continue on with the supplementing the water supply and Scituate with the fluoride at the levels recommended by the state. I also think, since we have had hearings on the issue, since we've read a lot of literature on the issue, and since I suspect the issue may not go away, it may become subject to town meeting, I don't know, I'd recommend that the board put together whatever its own findings may be, and if we disagree, maybe we'll have individual letters to the selectmen, but we should certainly report to the selectmen, I think, that we looked at this issue, that here are the major studies on the issue, and this is what we think.
I think we should take a vote on that. And state our position based on all the material that we've had and all the presentations that we've had. And at this point in time, this Board of Health recommends to the
In all fairness, before there is a vote, on the audience, please name and.
Yeah, Todd Spear, Booth Hill Road, Scituate, Mass. Family residence since 1633. We don't need fluoride. It's not anything that helps our health, and if anything, it's a deterrent. The FDA has never approved fluoride at all. They've never even looked at it. The EPA doesn't necessarily support it. There's towns cropping up all over the place that are starting to take it out of the water supply. It says, children under 3 years old, it's harmful. I mean, no disrespect, but you live in Norwell. This is Scituate water supply, so, I think there's a lot of evidence in there. There's a lot of conclusive studies that have found that it causes bone damage. There's a lot of harmful things that can go. People can take fluoride tablets. It's a medicine. It's a prescribed drug. It's not something that we should be putting in our water. It's not natural. It's just it's harmful, and there's nothing that's going to do to help anybody's health, and just the opposite. I don't see why we have to use it. It's an expense to the town on top of it that we don't need. And in 1954, when they put it in, like I said, the FDA had not even looked at it. And the FDA, even if they did, how reliable have they been these days? We've seen a lot of cases where they've made a lot of mistakes and stuff. So, is that the bottom line? We have the control out of our own water supply because it's a privately owned water supply. The town owns it. It's not owned by the state. We're not part of any other municipality that's feeding water into our town. We have the ability to do what we want with our water supply. It doesn't go down to the state. We've come to that determination. So, I think it would be the right thing to just, get rid of it. We don't need it. And for whatever good it's doing to a certain amount of people, the rest, and to children and babies, it's not good. It lowers kids' IQs. It does a lot of things, There's been a lot of studies on it now. It's not showing up to be a good thing at all. That's all I want to say.
Can I just add one thing as a public health professional, and having heard all this and I have great respect for you, and I drink the Scituate water, although I'm a fairly new resident, don't have all your experience. I lived in a town quite a bit from here, but I've taught public health for years. Yeah, well, I am from Scituate, but I think the important thing is I've heard all these arguments for years. I used to run an oral health program, and I really love what Dr. Parson said. He practices in Scituate, yes, lives in Norwell. I live in Scituate, and I practice public health out of Scituate and taught it. It's got to be based on science. And the FDA does not pretend to cover everything. It has not. There's all kinds of things that are challenges. But on the best science that is out there, this is one of our best public health successes. And looking at all of that, and I respect everything that you had to say, I really do. However, based on the science, bringing in studies on the experts with all that is the only way I would ever go. This benefits children. It is not meant to be detrimental or to poison a water supply. Not a great choice of words, but it's very important that we look at all of this based on professional recommendations with studies that have gone on for decades. And I respected what you had to say, so I just want you to respect.
If the FDA doesn't approve it, ma'am, how could you?
Well, it comes through the chairman, please. So.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, but anyway, thank you. I was very interested, and thank you.
Points taken. Do you have anything to say? You've been here, you've started this.
Just very quickly, Sherry Fitzgerald, Blue Hill Road.
Yeah.
The one thing that is still stuck in my mind is when, and I'm sorry, I don't remember his name, the dentist was here last week, and I was asking him the difference between the fluoride, the type of fluoride that we add to, that's typically added to our water supplies versus what scientists have determined is a naturally occurring fluoride. And unfortunately, my information that I had gathered was contradictory to the gentleman that spoke, the dentist that spoke last week, where he said that there was virtually no difference, and there is a large difference. There is a calcium fluoride that naturally occurs in our Earth's crust that when water flows over it, it does accumulate into the water supply, but that is very different, a very different fluoride than what we add into our water supply, which is sodium fluoride. And that sodium fluoride is normally comes from industrial runoff from fertilizer industry, munitions, aluminum, that sort of thing. And it's not the same. So I just wanted to bring that point up, and it is in the information that I had left you. There is a very big difference in between the amount of fluoride that they find that is beneficial, and as a matter of fact, it's only beneficial while teeth are forming. It's only in a topical application. It is never meant to be ingested systemically. That's all I'd just like to say.
Definitely, two sides to the story.
There's a lot of studies, and I think a lot of the studies, in my opinion, a lot of the studies show that there is a beneficial effect over the course of time. And you always can find these studies that will dispute, will take the other side. I think the value of the studies that show the beneficial effects outweigh the other studies. And I looked at a lot of the stuff.
I have to agree too, with especially the time that it's been in the water and the amount.
Yeah,
I've read, but I can't agree more with Frank that it is good that it's brought up and looked at again. And there's nothing the matter with that.
No, it's good exercise, for sure.
Absolutely. And that's why we're here. It's good that people can come forward with issues. So you guys are ready to make a vote. I would look for a motion.
I move that the Board of Health take no action with respect to changing the level of fluoride that's being added to Scituate wastewater. That we continue to rely on the standards established by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And that the board compose a letter to the Board of Selectmen reporting, summarizing really what has transpired over the last several hearings, and pointing to the studies and the agencies in particular that support the finding that the benefits of fluoride in the water supply outweigh any of the less detrimental effects, so that the Board of Selectmen has a record of that for any future proceedings.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody, for coming, both sides. Thank you. What did we say? We have to get over the rule.
I didn't say anything.
That's millions of viewers.
Now it's time we have a member recognition. Well, yeah, left. And,
Not their
what do you guys?
cup of tea.
Well, I thank you for your service to the board and to the town, Mr. Lynch. How many years has it been?
13.
13 years. That's
Lucky
13 years.
13.
Every other Monday night that he's taking time out of his personal life and lent his expertise and his time and efforts for the support of the health and welfare of the citizens of Scituate. And I thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
That's a motion, read it.
That was a motion.
And we can sign it too.
Yeah, I know. You have to make it, he has to second, he can't make the motion.
Well, mine wasn't a motion,
Mine was a thank you,
just comment.
I know. But that's
I
the
would just say
motion.
thank you for the years sitting next to you, and you've been an impact on my life, especially the way you listen, and you're a good listener and take information in. And I've never seen you talk down to anybody, but then I think someday you'd make a good judge. That's what your attorney background. And I've taken part of that into my life, so I can say thank you.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion and make a proclamation. Whereas Francis M. Lynch, Esquire, has loyally served the Scituate Board of Health since June 2013 and is now leading the Board of Health. Whereas he faithfully attended 90% plus of all meetings despite personal business commitments. Whereas Frank always treated those appearing before this board with courtesy and respect. Whereas Frank used his tremendous legal expertise for the benefit of the Board of Health in the town of Scituate. Be it resolved that we, the majority of the Scituate Board of Health, do hereby vote and confirm that Francis M. Lynch is hereby made a Scituate Board of Health member emeritus in recognition of his distinguished service to the Scituate Board of Health and their staff. That's my motion.
Second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Well, unanimous now.
Let me say this. It's been a pleasure working with both of you. I appreciate the comments. I think you're going to do a great job. With whoever else, the third member of the Board of Health is obviously an important responsibility, and I've seen that since you've both been on the board, you take it very seriously. And I would like to think that I've contributed a little bit to the demeanor of the board. I hope that continues. I think you both also treat people with respect and try to give everybody a fair hearing, which is really what we try to do. Not all town boards have that as their characteristics. I'm sure you've read the papers about some of the other towns on the South Shore that often get into trouble as a result of that. People think just because they have power means that they can really abuse other people, and that's actually the opposite. You need to respect the power that the town has given you. Mary, it's been good working with you as well, even though for a short period of time. And let me just say, Jennifer, I'm going to miss you. I can't believe it's been 13 years.
Well, I think one of the best things I ever did was pick you.
Well,
and I'll miss you like hell.
Well, it's been good. It's been enjoyable. I've learned an awful lot from you about public health. And from what I do in my little world, it's very, very narrow, and so this has really broadened my perspective on a lot of different things. And so I think I probably would become a better lawyer as a result of it. And so I appreciate that, and I wish you all the best of luck in the future. But I also want to tell you, I'm still around.
Thursday night, ZBA.
I'll be at the ZBA, but if questions come up or whatever, and I know I'm leaving at least one issue that's been going on for many, many months, and my plan is to at least summarize.
Believe me, we'll be after you for that.
Yeah,
I would be very grateful for that. Yes.
The legal perspective a little bit in some of the scientific studies, and you can take that for whatever it's worth or reject it. I won't be offended, you know that.
Would you care to recommend one of them for sewer approvals?
That's right. I don't know who's going to get that job now, but I thought it was going to be quiet after last year, but I guess there's still a few issues that left to be ironed out with the Board of Selectmen. So, but probably, I think we've gotten through the really rough period, fortunately, and it looks like everybody's still got the right object, which is to try and get as much of the town sewer as possible. That's
Yeah, and I think the last meeting that we had with Tricia and DPW, where we it's been over 10 years that we've been following this priority list, and with the amount that's been fixed and the amount that repairs that we've done, the priority may not be the same anymore, and so they've agreed to look at that before they select the next priority area to sewer, to make sure that we're truly hitting the worst places sooner than later. And I think I think that's will be helpful for everybody. And like I said, we've looked at fluoride after 50 years. I think we should look at that list after 13 or so. Could change. And thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So, I make a motion to adjourn.
I was going to just bring up one other thing. I don't think it's on the agenda, but I was going to ask you, do you want to do any reorganization of this board?
Not until you get a new member.
Can't do it until you get a new member. All right, well, great to see you.
Now, just remember,
Can't be power
remember,
over somebody else.
if he's no longer here, you two better be. Until we have somebody new.
You know, and having explored this issue on the ZBA, the person who takes over this job isn't going to be able to decide midterm.
Well,
I don't think.
Well, Tricia said, yeah, as long as it wasn't a conflict.
The statute that the town meeting approved says that a member of a board can miss one meeting and educate themselves as to the meeting if there is a video or a transcript available. And so the question came up for me on one of the DBA meetings that I couldn't attend. And I didn't think there was a transcript and that I was going to be disqualified. Fortunately, it turned out that there was one. There was not a recording. But that's one meeting. We've had how many meetings?
And the ZBA.
You might want to talk to town council about it, but I think it's going to be a problem.
My understanding with the ZBA at one point is that you missed the first meeting of an issue. But that, you're saying whatever, what they decided overrides that, and it's more than one meeting
You're
during the
disqualified.
issue,
You can't miss more than one meeting.
whether it's the first or last.
Doesn't matter. If it's been public hearing, more than, and I could, instead of meeting, I should say hearing.
Yeah.
A hearing at which there's been testimony and evidence, that the facts upon which a board will make its decision. You can't miss more than one. If you do miss one, you have to, before voting, you have to educate yourself on what happened there, and there has to be a transcript or a video of the proceedings for you to review prior to making any vote, as I understand the statute.
Well,
We'll have to check, see what happens, and we'll put the burden on you and us. Possibly. Sorry about that.
That is a regret. I don't know what's taken so long, but I probably shouldn't come.
the weather,
Yeah, well, the weather has not been great.
monsoons.
So, motion to adjourn, I guess.
Second.